Hey everybody, how are you doing today? Hopefully you're doing well. Apollo woke up from a nap just to say hello. He slept through the weekend forecast, so I thought I would bring him in here just to say hi to everybody. Hope you're doing well. This is going to be for Pisces. As always, you can use this for your sun, your rising, your moon, your Venus, and really any part of your chart that you happen to know. I even noticed in chat some people saying that they just come in for the channel messages, and you can always do that irrespective of what sign you are, because the way that I work is anybody that decides to show up either here or on replay, I will basically be tuning into your collective energy. So no matter why you're here, I welcome you. I'm going to put down my little furry assistant here so we can get started and talk about the messages for today and for the month ahead. So always enjoy wrapping up the month with your sign. It gives me a chance to really, first of all, I'm very warmed up when it comes to intuitive energy, and we have some great messages. In fact, the first time I worked with one of these totems today, we're going to be looking at a combination lock, which is kind of unusual, but it came through in dreams last night to the point that I was like, yeah, this has to be the primary thing that we focus on. I'm going to truncate the introduction because you guys have been with me for a while. I talked to the Weekend Collective over the fact that I've actually been doing this around 7 years and 2 full years of lives, going into my 3rd this December. So I think you know the format, but just very briefly, I'm going to start with channeled messages. We'll get into the cards right after that. And then I have very sort of specific places that I'll look at, like blessings and blocks. We have a meditation at the end. Just stick around and I'll walk through each part of it as we go through it. So with that being said, let's get into your channeled messages and your spirit totem for today. So I was doing some research on the combination lock, which I think we're all familiar with. And some of the earliest recollections of this actually trace all the way back to Egypt. I guess there was a tumbler Egyptian lock that was used, but I'll pull up some of the ones that we know very, very well. Most of us that went to school used something like this particular lock on our lockers. Many of you may have used one of these on your luggage containers. It's pretty universal. Combination locks in some way, shape, or form exist almost everywhere. And again, they have inner sort of chambers that need to be basically locked in all the different numbers before it opens up. So it was a substitute for a traditional lock, which could easily be hacked. So it's increased security when you see this, but it can also be something that can be a little frustrating if you lose the combination. And that's what I was seeing in my dreams. I remember the movie Inception, which was out a few years ago now, where that was also kind of used as a metaphor for being able to kind of like hack into someone's head. And this was also kind of the inspiration of how this could relate to you, because a lot of times a lock is not simply about hiding your belongings. It's about uncovering a piece of ourselves that we forgot, trying to kind of get back there. So let's talk about the combination lock. The other piece that we'll be looking at today is a spider web. And it's actually going to be more about the strength and the sort of capacity for that to hold things. So it's less about the spider, more about the web, and connecting that to this combination lock, which I'll talk about. So in dreams, I was shown a combination lock, and I saw you trying to figure it out, going through all the different combinations and thinking, what are the numbers? What did I do? What is it? I think part of this for you could be an internal trigger for discovery or a realization that there might be something missing. So we'll talk about that in a moment, but let's geek out a little bit first on how long these locks have been around. Based on the research that I did this morning, some of the common ones from the modern era that we see can be dated back to like the 1200s. But the Egyptian one that I mentioned is basically 2000 BCE or before, or BC. So basically a while. This has been a while that these particular devices or this technology has been around. Why do we forget things when we are reincarnated? We forget because we need to be able to see things in a different light. I talked about this on the weekend. We're born with what I would call like a selective soul memory in this body, where large portions of it are kind of missing. And it allows us to see new things in old sort of like acquaintances. So let's say that you had a really negative experience with someone in a past life. Therefore, there's karma that's been built up. In this lifetime, having forgotten that, but kind of on an inner level, knowing I need to be cautious around this person, both of you will be able to show up, and hopefully they can show a different side of themselves. You can see past the prejudice of the past life, and maybe you can release the karma. So if we knew all the pain, all the sort of gray stuff in the middle, it would be very difficult to be able to build beyond that. So basically, we don't have to hold a soul grudge. We can look at someone and experience a new sort of connection with them. So that's part of the reason. It's also so that we can not be burdened by some of the things that we've been through, because it's a lot. Imagine, a lot of times we'll meet someone, it could be a best friend, it could be a lover. In a past life, they may have been a parent, they could have been a teacher, they could have been a brother or sister. It gets really weird. So in order for us to not sort of be connected solely to the past life, we get to experience them both sides sort of with the amnesia of this new incarnation. So it's a gift, but it can also sometimes be difficult because there's something more. Some of you are awakening. If you're tuned into my broadcast, you probably are. And even today, if it's not your sign, part of the message for you today is this inner awakening. So when you start to wake up, the divine basically starts to go in there and it gives you some of the combinations. And you start to see things. You may be gifted with past life flashbacks. You may be gifted with increased intuition so that you can see beyond the safe that other people are trying to put up in front of you. And this is really interesting when I didn't get a chance to write it down, but if there's anybody in your life that's kind of existing with the moon, the devil, or the Seven of Swords type energy, which can be deceit or a lack of sort of being forthcoming, just kind of hiding some details. That is oftentimes when the combinations in our third eye start to kind of decode this and say, no, there's something more. And we can unlock and see beyond the block that they're trying to put in front of you, the fog screen. So I feel like this is a really great time for you to work on meditation, in your sort of like intuitive and cognitive development so that you can basically look beyond this. So this is a really good time for that kind of third eye opening, and I would even say critical thinking development, really positive movement in these areas for you. This totem is also connected to the Hermit card because it's going within. Now's the time for inner work and personal development. So this could be as straightforward as just taking some time to yourself. It could also be as sort of developmental as deciding to, study a new sort of trade or class or go back to school. It could be online or in person. It doesn't matter. It's basically about doing something because you want to develop. You want to change and grow within. The other thing that I think that this will help you with is that confidence building. So when you understand and believe and know what you're saying, other people are going to be able to vibe off of that. Your inner confidence or your inner doubt really set the tone for how people perceive and also receive what it is that you're saying. So I wholeheartedly encourage and support any of you that are thinking about doing something in the line of training or an internship or education, because this is going to allow you to really get that confidence and that support that you need within to kind of like say what you need to say. And people will think that person is coming from a place of experience. I trust them. You have to trust yourself first, or others are not going to be able to do that as well, or it'll be a lot less likely for them to do that. In addition to sort of like that self-confidence, I also think this is just about some physical security that you might be doing in your life as well. Whether it's cyber or around you, this could be something like two-factor authentication for passwords that you have online. It could be creating more difficult passwords. You don't want to use like a birth date or a common word. Also new locks in your life. And then legal documents that could kind of bind you, non-disclosures where we're basically making sure that you can't say certain things, or if you need to secure what other people say. So a lot around security, of course, with this particular totem, and then also going within and feeling like, how secure am I with myself, with what I'm saying? So all of these have, double or triple meanings as we dig into them. So the other thing when I'm thinking of a lock and what it does, it's very much like the Four of Pentacles. And I'm going to go counter to the totem on this one and say, when it comes to matters of the heart, you want to open up your heart, because the Four of Pentacles is a very limiting force. There's not a lot of positive things that come with that particular card. I would say for you, open your heart to new opportunities and to new experiences. Release any fear or anxiety. I know sometimes people will say that's easier said than done. Well, practice makes perfect on this. As you start to put yourself in more situations where it's out of your comfort zone, as you start to realize that some of the fears were unfounded, as you start to talk to people and develop tools, it gets easier. But understanding that the fear or the anxiety is there is the first step, and deciding what to do with it is solely up to you, because your free will always is a part of this. When I give you the channel messages and anything that comes through today, I'm giving you a compass, and you have your own GPS, and you're going to decide how to use the compass and the GPS to make your own decisions. But the more you walk away from fear, the more opportunities it'll open up for you. Release the belief that this is as good as it gets. That's the one thing that I always think of when I see the Four of Pentacles, is it's a limited sort of belief. I can't let go of this relationship, this job, this house, this friendship, because if I do, I'll be alone, because there may not be anything better, because I don't know if I can find this again. So all of these things are holding on to something that you kind of are not really wanting to have in your life. It's kind of like a crutch. It's just because you don't want a space there. When we look at, how a farmer has to every year turn over a field, at the beginning of the season, there's going to be space. You have to put new seeds in. So sometimes we have to release something or someone, and then start to grow ourselves a little bit too, and then allow other people to kind of step into that. If you're afraid of having a sort of a gap there, then there's probably some more internal work to be done. What I like to think of is we can flip it around. You can always invert the energy that would be a part of this and say, what if this isn't as good as it gets? What if there's more to come? What if the universe has even more things in store for me, an upgrade? What if I surprise myself and others? Wouldn't that be a blast? So you can start with these what ifs, and then you can kind of make them affirmative. You can decide, this isn't as good as it gets. I'm going to work on this part of me. I'm not done yet. People may think that I'm done, but I'm not done. I'm going to show them through hard work, through perseverance, and through my own sort of development that there's more to this story. There's a fourth act. So this is not the end. And every end is just the opportunity for a new beginning. Look at any sort of writer that has a series. They always they pick up where they left off. So even when you put the final page in, there's a new book that's ready to be written, right? So you just have to decide what the next chapter, what the next book is going to be in your life's story. And only you can decide that. But I'm here to tell you that the Four of Pentacles is just there as a mirage. It's there to sort of mirror the fear or mirror the uncertainty that you have, but not to proclaim or to prophesize that this is going to happen. It's just a fear. So when you start to get creative with it and you work in partnership with the creative force that is the divine, and you say, all right, I'm ready. Let's show me how far we can go. I'm really surrendering to possibilities now, not to my fear. That's when things start to get exciting. That's when you surprise yourself. That's when in a couple of years, people look at you and think, what have you been up to? How did you do this? It's because you just went with the flow, the creative flow, the divine flow, right? I think that's really, really important. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about spider webs. When I was doing research, this was fascinating. So bulletproof vests are made from this patented material called Kevlar. But if you were to take spider webs and compact them and put them inside the vest, it would actually be stronger than that. It's just impossible for, at least right now, for people to probably synthetically create that kind of a fabric. So if we were to take a bunch of webs together, though, it has that sort of stronger than steel energy, which is amazing to me. Because when you look at a spider web, and I'll pull it up here on my iPad here as we're talking, but when you look at a spider web, it looks so thin. It's like, how could this be stronger than bulletproof material? Well, sometimes things that are very small, an idea, a little beginning here, even when you look at yourself and you think, how do I compare to this person? You don't know what the universe has in store for you, or how you can kind of compare spiritually or sort of like intuitively there. So don't limit yourself. Let's just look at a spider web in the sunshine here. It's kind of nice to see what it looks like. Yeah, here we go. Here's some cool images. When you look at it, they look very, very fragile, right? Especially here as we see the sort of beads of rain on this. You look at that and you think, it looks just like a thread, a thin sort of thread that, would be used for this shirt. Well, it's not. It's stronger than that. It's strong enough to capture really big bugs too. And then when the spider goes and spins their web around that as well, it traps it. So everything begins with a small start. And that's really what you want to look at right now. So like a web, you have to start somewhere, and you have to spin the first sort of thread of this journey for you. So each day should be one more sort of spiral in that spider web that you're creating. Day one, it might just be putting up the initial sort of, the rungs that they have in that spider web. But then you start to go around and you create the sort of bigger web that is going to hold and attract things. One thing that I'd like to talk about, and then we'll talk a little bit more about spider webs, is just being able to avoid the quote unquote webs that others spin around you. This could be drama, gossip, guilt, grudges, anything that someone does to hold you in place, particularly the guilt piece. So this could be a teacher, a parent, a boss, someone in your life that makes you feel like if you leave, if you move on, if you do this, you're somehow kind of leaving them behind, that, your success, you don't deserve all that success, or you shouldn't be able to move that fast, that far, etc. So don't be held back. That's actually a codependency. So you want to cut and release those codependent bonds and walk freely into or onto your own path and into your own journey as well. Again, easier said than done. It takes several steps to kind of move toward that. But the overarching message here, as we're looking at everything, is decoding, understanding yourself, building up your confidence, understanding who you are, what you want, etc. Releasing the thought that this is as good as it gets, especially if it's been projected onto you by someone else. And then starting to set intentions, because intentions are like cosmic webs. So spiritually, if you set this cosmic web in place, I am ready for this. I'm open to receive this. I believe that I can pull this into my life. All of a sudden, you've set this big net. You could look at it as a net where the universe is now ready to throw some really great abundance toward you. Don't hold on to the past either. So a spider has to go in and clean up the web. If there's any debris from one of its meals or leaves and other things that get stuck in it, they have to kind of snip it out and respin that part of the web. So what you want to do every day is a reset, a mental reset, to get rid of any of the residue or garbage that we are holding from the day before. That could be stuff that we've seen, heard, or felt, and we're holding on to. So meditation, exercise, therapy, all of the above would be a way for you to release that and to just be clear and clean and open to receive. A big old Ace of Cups, a big old Ace of Pentacles saying, bring it on, right? The next piece was strangely specific, and I think it can apply to everybody. It has to do with communication styles. So I was shown an exchange, and in fact, I heard an exchange, but I was watching the reaction of the people in the group, where the exchange sounded like it was sort of like a sing-songy sort of thing. If you've ever listened to someone who talks up and down like this, and it can be just as bad as someone who talks just in a monotonous tone. So what you really want to do is find somebody who knows exactly when and where and how to punctuate. So for some of you, there may be an opportunity to listen to your own communication style. And you can tape it, you can videotape it, doesn't matter, but listen to how you speak, listen to the filler words that you use, the pauses that you use. There may be opportunities to improve it, which would help you across the board when it comes to one-on-one relationships, not just work, but being able to really hold your ground and say what you need to say to somebody. There could also be some improvements for if you have to make any presentations at work. If there's someone in your life that has difficulty in communicating, maybe you could offer assistance. Say, hey, do you want some help in prepping for this? Do you want to practice talking it out with me first? And I'll give you some feedback. So you could help someone else if you see that they're struggling. And if you're struggling, ask for help, because other people are aware of this. And this is a time for you to kind of work on that if that's the case. So it'll only help you. We're working at elevating and helping you get what you need to get. Now, the other thing is the melodic sort of way that this person was speaking could have been intentional to sort of put people into a bit of a daze. We see this a lot of times with politicians. You can also hear it in advertisements when at the very end, they say all of the legal text like so fast that no human ear can decode it unless you're an auctioneer. It's like, it's like that really fast speed. So if someone's speaking in a sing-song way that bores you or kind of like puts you into sleep or this weird state of consciousness, or if it's too fast, then put up your little spider sense and your antenna and say, what are they trying to get past me? And ask some questions. If something seems too good to be true, or if it feels like the way in which they're communicating is disingenuous, then speak up. And use, like I said earlier, tone, volume, and pacing in your own day-to-day communication to make more of an impact. Clearly, communication is a key to success. And it could also be something that's coming through that you need to pay attention to so that you can be more discerning, so that you can potentially avoid a web that someone else is trying to cast for you. Okay, so there you go. These are the channeled messages. I see some people are asking where we're at and what we're doing. So the channel messages come to me from source, from dreams, from meditation, from the research that I do, and they apply to everybody that's watching. This is a specific reading for Pisces, but the channel portion is always very open, and anybody that shows up can get a message. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If you missed anything from the channeled messages, I will post all of these note cards on my social media platforms. I'll put a link here just a second after I've stacked everything up. While I'm doing this, I can talk about what's coming next. We're going to look at the Celtic Cross. And the Celtic Cross, the way that I read it, it does not specifically focus on one thing. It's not going to just be love or just be career, because we're all at different parts in our life. So this next portion will basically take on any shape or form that it needs to, which will allow spirit to kind of step in. Then I'll always look at health, wealth, love, and destiny after that. All right, so let me just go ahead and paste a link to my website if you have any questions. And I'd like you to select the deck today. So I'm gonna put a few in front of me. Since if you guys always have to wait a little bit to do it, I'm gonna make sure that you have a chance here to vote. So I used the new one on the weekend. It's called the Luna deck. It's by Ethereal Visions. I'd be happy to use that again. Has some really great reimagining of all the cards that we came to love in that deck. So this is one of the choices. Let me look at some other ones here that I think might be cool today. I think the Sun and Moon always has great energy, so we could use that. And let's see, Little Prince is one that's come up a couple of times in requests, so I'll put that here. And let's see what else. I'll do the Light Seers as well. These are a few great ones. So you guys can choose which one you would like based on this variety. I'm going to put the poll up right now. So which deck? We can use the Luna Tarot. We can use the Sun and Moon. We can use Little Prince. And then the Light Seers. So I've placed this poll up now for anybody that happens to be watching live on desktop or on mobile. And let me just show you again. Here's the newer deck that I used on the weekend, and it's called the Luna deck. It's by Ethereal Visions. Really beautiful overall. Then we have the Sun and the Moon deck here, which also has some really gorgeous imagery. Little Prince, based on the story, The Little Prince. So haven't used this in a while, but I've had a couple requests to put it back into rotation. And then we have Light Seers here as well. So you guys can choose. And it looks like Luna Tarot is winning. So we'll go ahead and reuse the new one. It's a pretty close, but it looks like Luna Tarot won. So thank you so much for everybody that voted. I'll make sure that I put different options out each week that I read. So if you didn't see what you wanted today, don't worry, you'll have other options to vote in the future. Okay, so let's take a look at what's coming through for you over the next 6 to 8 weeks. Again, you can use this for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus. After I do this, we'll look at blessings blocks, viewer's choice. We'll look at a meditation at the end as well, plus a final card. So if you have any questions, hold that until the end. Right now, I'm going to focus on laying out the cards. Thank you so much to those of you that have given back in super stickers or super chat. I'll make sure to say thank you at the end. It does help me to continue to update the decks. So thank you so much, I think, Regina, that just did that. I appreciate it. If you do like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing. I'd love to grow the channel. You can share it with other people as well. That'd be great. All right, so let's take a look at these messages and see what's in store for you. Okay, so we have love. When we're looking at your catalyst card, we have Eros, which is the god of love here. So we also see the diamond right there at the center, right in the middle of the lips or the mouth. So the communication that I was talking about earlier is so important here, because when I see the sort of overlapping of these two symbols, basically seeing the diamond right over the throat or the mouth chakra here, I would say it's so important for you to be clear in what you want to say, why you want to say it, and to whom you want to communicate. And understand, too, the potential for it to really reach a lot of different people. I see this and I see a potential spectrum, right? So communication needs to be fine-tuned for the different audiences that you're going to be talking to. But there's great value in what you have to say. You couldn't get any more sort of literal than to put that diamond right there. So I actually feel like, love notwithstanding, yes, this is a good time to connect with people, but the way that they may be drawn to you is the tone of your voice, the words that you say, the thoughts that you express, your articulation of these ideas. So really work on your language, your diction, your confidence in public speaking, all of that, because that is the big attractive force here. So very cool, actually. Very cool illustration here. Of course, Eros, again, being sort of like Cupid, but Cupid is not how we sort of envision it in greeting cards and everything. This is really sort of like maybe the beginning of something new. And maybe you're planting the seed. That diamond can also kind of represent like an Ace of Pentacles because it's Earth. So we could just think of something new, something of value. So there could be a really big offer on the table, but it's going to boil down to negotiations, you going back and forth and negotiating. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and really trust that you've got something to offer, right? So I like this. I think this is really auspicious. It's not just about romance. It's really about your ability to woo somebody, bring them in with what you have to say and how you have to say it. Absolute connection to the channel messages on that. So that's cool. You got some really exciting cards today. There's an extra card in this deck, and it's Fate here. And this is really kind of interesting. We see like the stars here and the sort of symbol of death and rebirth coming through as well. So I was talking to a decent extent about karma in the past couple of readings. I believe that fate is something that we also have the ability to kind of decide if we want to walk down that path or not. There are certain things that we have milestones in our life where we say, I want to experience this, I want to meet this type of person, etc. But how we do it, when we do it, and if we want to change our path, we still have choices. So I think for you, knowing that you still have power, even in the eyes of fate or destiny, you still have power to decide how, when, and if. When I read my destiny card, which is Turtle here, the same message will come through. You have the chance to control, change, or alter that path if you'd like to. So something big is coming through in this moment, Pisces, for you. And you may see it as a synchronicity. I don't really believe in serendipitous events. I think that we call in these sort of synchronistic events where we've done things, the universe opens up an opportunity, and we're either prepared or not prepared to embark on that. I think you're at that sort of juncture right now where there is a synchronicity in place, and it feels so strong that you would use the word, this is fate. It could be love. It could be a really good job option or a job opportunity. Something's opening up for you, and you've done the work. I would say to you, the way I'm going to read this fate card is it's this life and in others. You've built up to this moment. So if you have internal doubt thinking, why now, or how did I do this? It's because of the aggregate energy across lifetimes. And so you may not have remembered it. That's why we were talking about decoding and that sort of lock, the combination lock, but it's there. And so fate and the divine and your soul is coming through to say, yeah, if you want to call it fate, it's okay, but this is really the reward for all of these lifetimes of work and journey and sort of embarking on new things. So this is an exciting moment for you. We also have on top of this the Hierophant. This is a very cool version of the Hierophant because missing from it is someone who tells you what to do. Normally we see a representation of a pope or a high priest, depending on the deck that you're using. This is showing you that you don't need that anymore. This is something that a lot of organized religions would be afraid of because we are all capable of connecting to the divine directly. And this shows you that you are connecting to that higher channel right now, if you're ready, if you're open. So the gatekeepers in your life may be sort of stepping away or stepping out. And there's an opening. This is why the Four of Pentacles, when I saw it channeled, could be a limitation because you could be worried, well, what do I do without the boss, the agent, the manager, my parent, my partner? They're supporting me. You don't need that. You are the star. And that's the really cool thing in this Hierophant is we see the star shining through. So you are beyond the gatekeeper right now. And there is this moment in time where you've basically opened this up. It is your, if you choose to embrace it, it is your fate or your destiny to kind of make a big change, make a big shift. And one of the big shifts could be moving beyond the control, because we have the Devil card in the crowning position, the control of other people, away from the gatekeepers, right? In the deep past, we have the Moon, and the Moon card here is, I love that we have this sort of like Artemis energy with this Moon card. So Artemis is a huntress, or a hunter if you want to, but she's able to go after what she wants, so very spider-like energy with that. But she's also able to control and move things. Our planet would not be in as good a shape as it is without the Moon. Fun little facts about how the Moon was formed. It was probably a planetoid that hit our planet, and the original planet that went into ours kind of was absorbed, and it created the iron core, which is this molten core, which helps us have this sort of protective shield around the planet. A bunch of crust was thrown into the atmosphere and created the fiery ball that is the Moon. That's why it doesn't really have much of an atmosphere or much of a core. It kind of gave its core to us. The Moon also stabilizes the tides on the planet, and it creates the ebb and flow, which also helps move things on the planet. The Moon is powerful. It gave life on in many ways to this planet, and it sustains life. So you are capable right now of creating a big shift like this, and it may involve some of that creation destruction energy that we talked about. There was an exchange. The Moon was absorbed, but then something new came into its place, and something long lasting that we still see here, and that still kind of is tied to this planet. So if something was lost, something is gained. And that's what the Moon card is showing us. That long story basically is the summation of that. It wasn't even destroyed when it was destroyed. Something else came and took its place with an equally important role. And it rules the tides, energy. So basically this is your emotional sense, and also the ability to kind of like create and destroy. You still have that. You really want to be focusing on that this month. You have the power to do so. Okay. I mentioned Ace of Cups, Ace of Pentacles. We got the Ace of Cups coming through for you. Combined with Eros, Cupid, this is auspicious for love and relationships. You're at a point right now where if you want to deepen an existing relationship, you can do so. If you're single and happy, people still may be knocking on your door. They may have job opportunities and things that they want from you because you're pulling in that attractive force. And if you're out there looking for love, then this is also very good. Be clear, be diamond crystal clear on what it is that you're trying to call in. I've once or twice had coaching sessions with a client where, because I do most of mine just like on voice or on the phone, they couldn't see my face, but they said, I just told God in the universe, send me a partner. And I thought to myself, that is so kind of like broad. That could be anything and anyone. You definitely want to be more discerning. So you have options, be discerning, and that's what this card is saying. The Devil card here in the crowning position is pretty important for you. Now, for those of you that have Capricorn placements, this isn't bad. This is just showing me that right now you're going to be using your Capricorn energy to be the business person that you are, be able to really work your way through a situation. So that's fine. So if you have like a Capricorn rising, this is you. And it's basically just saying you can lean into that. Even a Capricorn moon, you just have the ability right now to lean into the practical, but rising would be a little bit stronger with this. For the rest of you, this is about not limiting yourself and not being limited by others. Since it's in your headspace, it's more about you limiting your own possibilities or holding on to something. Like I said at the beginning, the devil or the Four of Pentacles, very close in energy. And I mentioned that we might be seeing things like the devil or the moon. So they both kind of came up. The Seven of Swords didn't show up, but I'm not surprised to see the cards that did come through here. So what you want to do is open yourself up to new things and not think that where you're at is all that there is. Also dig deeper. This is the voice. When I was a kid, I liked reading Lord of the Rings. There's a character called Saruman in that, and he has this sort of melodic sing-songy voice that is able to get people to do what he wants, even if it's not the right thing. So there may be someone in your life that just has a way of convincing you to do stuff. It could be a friend, it could be a sister, brother, I don't care, but you're going to know who that is. And this time you're going to break the spell, right? And you're going to listen to yourself. So the interesting thing with the devil, if it's in a traditional illustration, not this really cool deck, you would normally see two people on the lover's card, two people on the devil's card, an angel in one, a devil on the other one. Otherwise, the scene is pretty much the same, minus the chains, and then the backdrop, which has gone from Eden to Hades. So what it is still is two people that love each other. So what could happen is the biggest challenge in your life could come from a loved one because they are holding you back. And that's really the core of the devil. It's not about El Diablo in the background. It's more about the chains that bind you between you and someone else, or you to a contract, or you to a promise. So that's what you have to sort of sort out, is a promise, a contract, or a person in your life where it looks like you might have kind of outgrown the relationship. Again, if you have a Capricorn ascendant, it's just saying, okay, my rising sign's coming in and saying, I really need to focus on business right now and doing what I love and not limiting myself even in that capacity. Okay. Let's look at what's coming through in the near future here. We have the Nine of Pentacles. It's reversed. The good thing with the reversal of this is it's showing that you're no longer beholden to or as affected by external forces and your own sort of insecurities as you might have been in the past. We see sort of like the ghosts coming through here. It's almost like Ebenezer Scrooge, from the past, from the present, from the future. And it's sort of like, what if this happens? And why did I do that? And what's going to happen tomorrow? And we have to kind of like release some of that stuff and go into the aspirational piece, which is, okay, so that was yesterday and this was today, but I'm really excited about this. What can I do to make this happen? These are the questions that you should be asking yourself before bed, not worrying about all of the problems that may happen. Otherwise, we're just stuck in that fear, and it puts a little bit of a damper on things. Focus on your sleeping patterns. If you're having trouble sleeping, it could be something like insomnia, sleep apnea. Maybe you're drinking too much caffeine. Something is going on here. You obviously need to work with a doctor on this if it's something that is persistent, because it could be any number of issues that I just mentioned. So standard disclaimer applies whenever I talk about health, talk to a professional. But I'm seeing that stress could be in somehow impacting your sleep patterns. You can do smaller things just to make sure that the environment itself is welcoming, as easy as changing the colors in the room to make sure that they're soothing, like blues, greens, and purples instead of bright oranges, bright reds. There are times and places for that, but you can try to soothe the energy. White is also good, but you might want to go for a more muted tone. And then also just making sure that you've changed the sheets, the mattress, or even the full bed if there's been a big change in your life. And especially if you've eased out of a partnership and that partnership energy is all over in that room, you want to kind of replace something as important as the bed, because we spend a lot of time sleeping there. So look at the sleep environment. And then also, if there's something in your health that needs to be dealt with, talk to a specialist to make sure that that's taken care of. Nine of Swords can just be about building up an anxiety or a fear that doesn't need to be sort of worried about as much as it is. It's usually better than the Nine of Swords looks. So talk it through, talk it out with somebody, and you'll probably be able to neutralize this or get to the bottom of it. This month, Pisces, I think one of the challenges for you is patience. We have the Temperance card in reverse. Look at the beautiful angel wings on this. I really like the way this is illustrated. So when the card is reversed, a lot of times we think to ourselves, why is it taking so long? Why can't I make this happen sooner? Why me? All of those sorts of things. It can also just be a push for us to take the first step. The angel in temperance usually has one foot in the water, one on the land. And I also, through my own experience in reading, connect this to about April, because usually you will see there's usually a spring bulb on this, like an iris or a lily. And so normally I would kind of attach that traditionally in the Northern hemispheres. I know it's different for Southern, but because I read in the Northern, the time still works. I would say it's about April. So some of the stuff that you're waiting for has about a 6 month, 5 or 6 month journey before it comes into full fruition. So be patient with it, more like 5 months. So I see a big shift in your life happening right around April. And the time between now and then is about setting into motion all of the necessary pieces to make sure that the foundation is secure, to make sure that you are ready. And then that window opens up for you and it's time to kind of push through it, right? Okay. Let me see if there's anything else with this. One other thing here is if you are trying to get something in a negotiation, and this can be an apartment, this can be asking someone out on a date, this can be asking for a raise, anything where you think, I'm interested in this and I want the person to reciprocate. This is about playing it cool, but not playing it too cool. So you want to express interest in what it is. Let's say it is something like a house that you're going to put money down on, or an apartment, and there's a lot of competition. If someone is sort of like, well, I don't know, there's a few people looking at it, just say, well, don't worry, that's fine. When you're ready, and if anything falls through, I'm happy. I've got a great score and I'm really interested in it. I'd love to hear more. You have my contact information. I hope to hear from you. You don't want to bother them. Put it out there, be sort of like confident and then calm, and then trust if it's meant to be that things will open up for you. You never want to push something that's not meant to be, but you do want to express interest. Say, well, that's too bad. I'm really interested. Keep me in mind. Just in case something like this opens up, or if something falls through, I'm here, I'm interested, and I'm looking too. So hopefully we both find what we're looking for. That's kind of how I leave negotiations a lot of times, because then the other person's thinking, this person sounds cool, but I'm going to keep them in mind. They're not desperate for this, because you don't want to kind of be desperate in the negotiation situation. If you're negotiating for a car or a job and you have to get something done at the table, you really have to eventually get to the best and final offer. So at some point, really think about what it is. And if you already have a job, you have even more leverage. If you're looking, you might have to kind of think, well, what is my true final? And say, this is what's necessary, and it's not asking for too much. So go back and ask, and I'll wait while you do that. You have to show some confidence there and be willing to kind of like hear a no. It's not an ultimatum. If you need it, you could just say, please ask, because this seems like you need to sharpen your pencil a little bit more. If you have a job, or if you have better options, use and leverage your power and say, well, I love you, I love this opportunity, but it feels like you have some work to do because we're not close enough to where I see it being. So come back with a real offer, and I'll consider it. And until then, I hope to hear from you soon. You need to be confident in those situations. If you need the job, obviously you're gonna fix it at the table. You're not gonna walk away, because you'll work it out. But show a little bit of confidence and temper it based on how much power you have, how much leverage you have. And then even if you're desperate for the job, just say, well, try this and then get back to me and then we'll talk. At least put it out there, and don't sort of be afraid to voice your concern or ask them how they got to the number. So have a true exchange. All right. Next piece, when we're looking at what's going on around you, we have Empress reversed. This could conceivably be the Devil card that we talked about. Empress upright, fantastic. It is nurturing. It is powerful. It's you, by the way. But the Empress reversed is someone around you that is trying to keep you in their sort of like in their energy. And this would be the conditional energy, saying, well, if you do that, what will I do? Or how am I going to fend for myself? Or if you're really leaving me in a difficult space. It could also be someone that compares you to someone else, asking you to be more like this person so that they could love you more. It could also be someone who just gets into your headspace and makes you question if you're able to do it. Are you sure you can handle that? Have you done this yet? Did you write this down? And it's sort of like, yes, why do you keep? So it kind of creates this tension between you and the other person. You may be, unbeknownst to you, sort of also trying to helicopter in, be a helicopter mom, dad, or boss. And so this is just a note to step back. As an internal card, the Empress reverse is saying, take care of yourself. If you didn't get the love and support that you needed as a kid, or even right now from your friends, your family, or your partner. This is about you being the universal mother to yourself. This is a great energy. So we want to look at how to bring it into the upright, which is nurturing, developing. And when something's reversed, the way I read it is, how can I do that for myself? How can I build myself up? Especially if others are incapable, unwilling, or just don't have the desire to do it. Okay. She's an entrepreneur, so you have what it takes to do something on your own, if and when you're ready. But it has to be sort of an internal awakening. Overall, great card, but there's something off around you, or there could be a fear around you about, letting someone or something go. But I feel really good about what we see energetically for you today. The only thing that I'm noticing is no pentacle. Oh, well, we just got to the pentacles here. So let's talk about it. 6 of Pentacles is actually a very good number. It tells me that you have what you need, and more than enough, actually, as long as you are discerning and very, very firm on how much or how little you're going to give. So with this, there's always more demand than there is supply. So for those of you that went to business school, you know all about the supply and demand curve. This is good for you. This means that you have something to offer someone and it's in limited supply, which from a business perspective, if you own your own business, means that you can slightly increase your prices. The negotiation, same sort of thing. Now, if you're negotiating for something, the same thing kind of applies, where if you're looking for an apartment or a house right now, it's going to be expensive. You might be able to trim a little bit off. Truth be known, it's not going to be a lot. So you got to look at the supply and demand when you're deciding how to price your resources. For the rest of you, it's about saying yes to what you want to say yes to and no to what you want to say no to. So if you are constantly giving to someone and they're not giving back, this is the time to say, I can't help you this time around. Or I need your help on this. I need to see a return on some of the work that we've done before. Obviously, it's not about keeping track, but it is about noticing overall sort of how you feel about something. You don't have to sort of tally it out. If like 9 times someone is coming to you and they're never coming to you to just check in or give you something, it's a taking relationship and the scales are imbalanced. So it's time for them to show up in a different way. And this is really what that's about. What kind of return on your energetic investment are you getting? How limited is your resource or someone else's, and how much are you willing to pay for that? Or are they willing to pay for yours? So really understanding that you have more power than you think right now, okay? In business, please make sure that you're charging enough. Also, in life in general, don't spread yourself thin. The 6 of Pentacles is saying, I know I want to do this, and I know that this is fun, but I know that this is where I see I can grow with this, and then I can pull more of this in. And so you figure it out. You look in front of you and you start to plan it out. So you're going to have to look at how this will work for you, but you can't do everything at once. If you're a business and you offer too many things, people get confused. There's a reason why most major companies, particularly if they offer like a software or a hardware option in like electronics, they may only have a certain number of models, and they usually end of life or discontinue the old models so that you're not confused. There may be only like 5 or 6 major types. Like if you look at Apple or Microsoft, there's usually like a suite. They have a business suite of software. Apple has certain machines and certain devices, and they kind of stick with that. Occasionally there's something new that comes into the fold, but there's different models within it, but there's usually like major categories. So I want you to think of your major categories. You're not going to try to do 30, 40, 50 different things. You may be going to really focus on the top 5 or something like that, so people know what they're coming to you for. All right. Your final card shows me that things are going to start to pick up pretty quickly here. We have the Knight of Swords. So once you've focused in on everything, we see rapid movement, and that's a good thing for you. Okay. So I like what I'm seeing here for you overall. The Knight of Swords also has to do with the power of communication, which we saw with the Diamond, which is, again, overlapping the mouth here. So really trust in your ability to say something and get people to react in a powerful way, okay? Your words carry weight. Knights are cool because they have the ability to sort of move things forward. A lot of times, kings and queens are passives, and pages don't have enough power, but knights are at that sweet spot where they can go into the presence of the king. They can tell the messenger, no, this isn't good enough. You're kind of in that middle zone. So we're looking at many of you stepping into a place where there's more autonomy. You may not be at the top, but you're headed in the right direction. The things that knights have to focus on is code of conduct. So make sure that what you're doing feels right, and is making some sort of a difference, making some sort of an impact. All right, let me take a quick drink of tea, and I must have put it down. Here it is. And then we're going to take a look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. All right. So your health card this month is all about transformation. The transformation card is reversed, but in a traditional tarot deck, this would be death or possibly judgment. But basically with judgment, you're the phoenix rising from the ashes. With death, death is transformation. So what's happening here, if we were to take death or judgment and reverse it, death reverses stagnation. So in what parts of your life, particularly with health, are you not moving enough or not seeing enough development? This is a chance to like shake the tree and say, I'm ready to make a change. It's an epiphany, and it's also a verbal contract and a sort of internal clicking, like the lock. You've unlocked something and you think to yourself, I know I have to do this now. I'm ready to do it. The only way that change can truly happen is when you want it. Judgment reversed is disbelief. So do you believe you're capable of change? Because this card shows you that it's already there. You have that support when you're ready. So decide to change and believe that change is possible. By doing this, then change happens inside and externally as well. But it has to have that internal clicking, right? So I really want you to kind of embrace that. And I think the good things are going to happen. Okay. Cool. All right. So let me look at some specific messages for your health. When we look at the center here, we have the Fate card. Again, for some of you, you want to pay attention to family history. This will have a different connotation when we look at health. So if there's a family history of things like diabetes or heart disease or any number of things, blood pressure, then you want to pay special attention to that and then take action to make sure that you are on a different path. Again, standard disclaimer applies. You want to work with a doctor before changing anything in your health or well-being. But that's what I'm seeing is looking at the family markers and making sure that you're aware of stuff, because there are certain things that you can control. The Devil card comes through to help us work through addictions. And through anything in our life that's kind of just holding us back. It doesn't have to be, a heavy addiction. It could just be like cutting out caffeine, right? Which, if you've done it, and I've done it, the tea that I drink is decaffeinated. It's herbal tea for my throat when I'm talking. But if you've ever had caffeine and consumed a lot of it, when you take it out, for me, it was like 2 or 3 days where I had a headache, and I thought, wow, I was really more connected to that than I thought I was. And I didn't miss it once it was gone. But I made a decision for my health. I was like, I just don't feel good on this anymore. So I'm going to take it out of my life. So could be something smaller like sugar, too many carbs, too much caffeine. Maybe you're trying to stop smoking. That's a lot harder. But the devil is coming through to just kind of ask you, are you ready to let go of this? Are you still having fun? The devil's happy to kind of sit there as long as you want. But that internal click for you is more powerful when you decide to kind of like connect and say, no, I don't want this anymore. Okay. The other thing here is to make sure, again, with your time and energy, that you're just not overdoing it. If you're recovering from something, if you are trying to build something or rebuild something, a little bit at a time. Athletes don't want to stretch, strain, or break, their bones or muscles. So you have to basically do the same thing. Little increases each day to kind of like create the strength that you're looking for. All right. And I think those are the main things that are coming through here. Of course, we talked at great length earlier about sleep. So of course, talk to your doctor if anything comes through for that. All right, let's move on to the next card, which is about wealth. Wealth isn't just your money, but it's also like what you do for like how you spend your extra time and what you're doing in the community. For those of you that might be retired, it's your kind of like your life purpose. So we have seeing both sides, and it says, take a step back and try looking at this from a different perspective. One of the weekend topics that I hope eventually gets there is about the labyrinth. And labyrinths are cool because unlike a maze, in the little research that I've done, there's only like one way in and out, where mazes can have a bunch of different paths. So sometimes there's a really clear and easy path, but we have to get perspective. And this one is really about allowing us to get that perspective. And as we look at these charts here that have the eyes on the either side, they're not necessarily seeing what's in front of them, but they do get a really good peripheral view. So there's always a chance to look at it from a different angle and make sure that you're not missing something in front or behind or in a different direction. So I would say it's not just both sides. This can be about the negotiation process that we've been talking about, but this can also be looking at other angles. So if you think this is all I can do or this is all there is, it's not. This is saying, look up in this direction, look up in this direction. So even when we pass into spirit, like when my father passed into spirit, there was, he spent some time in the sort of middle dimensions looking at stuff, and he was talking about how he could push through. He's like, look at what I found here, look at what's here. There's not just up and down, there's all these other dimensions and directions. And that was something he was talking to me about when he had passed in spirit. So just as in the other dimensions, in this planet, at this time right now, I should say on this planet, in this time, you have a lot of options, but it's not always readily visible to you until you have perspective. So get the perspective that you need right now, all right? If you have to negotiate, if you have to have a difficult conversation with somebody, begin it with empathy and research. You could say, for instance, I've been researching your company, for those of you that are negotiating a contract. I see that you've been moving into this market. There's been some challenges here. I feel like my skills could really help you in these areas. I'm really excited about where you're moving into. And I think that, you've shown that you actually cared enough to figure out. You could even say, I did some research on you. I know you've worked at these companies here. I have some questions for you. What have you found to be the biggest challenge? How is it like this? Like, do the research. Then they know that you've actually felt enough interest in this company to care about them. If you're in a first date or if you're in a relationship and there's something that you want to talk about, really make sure that you've shown that you've listened and you care and you're there for that person. So showing empathy and understanding, it's going to win you more than you could ever imagine just by kind of doing a little bit of extra work, and it won't take a lot. Okay. Let's look specifically at some money issues here. So if I turn the camera down for a second, some of you may be listening to your internal calling here. The Fate card and the Hierophant. This Hierophant is a sort of rebellious Hierophant. There is no Pope, there is no High Priest. There's just the powers that be. And this sort of like nebula, if you will, of the stars. So some of you are being called to a different path. You feel like, I don't know how much time I have on the planet. I don't know how many lifetimes I've been working, but I'm ready to try something new. So if you have that soul calling, please follow it. For those of you that are stuck at a job that you don't, maybe you like who you're working with or you like what you're doing, but you don't like the company, there may be low morale, then for this, the stress isn't worth it. You could either go on your own or you could find something new. It does feel like there's a limiting force right now, and I want you to move past that. Please be careful of any contracts that you sign right now because the Devil card usually is showing a one-sided benefit to that contract. So you want to make sure that it's a 50-50 or it's more equal. I mean, even if it is 60-40 or something like that, it doesn't matter. There has to be more equity. You have to be getting something out of it. Usually when you're working with managers, they're going to take a portion of it. You may end up losing 15, 20, 30% with all the different people that you're paying, but you should be keeping more than half is what I would say in a contract negotiation like that. I do see a signature happening for those of you that are trying to figure out, can I get this done? The Knight of Swords is a signature for sure. Things are looking good overall, but you have to get past the limiting piece. And for some of you, have to walk into a different path that could make you feel like, I'm not sure if I can do this, but you can. For those of you that are students, then this is about following your heart, not what mom and dad want you to do. Don't kind of like enter into a path that isn't calling to you, because it doesn't get easier over time. If you don't love it to start with, usually as you embark on it, that's just going to be more, then you have to work hard. So make sure that there's some sort of a feeling like, I want to make a difference. This feels exciting. It's not just for money. It's not just because of peer pressure. For those of you that are retired, I feel like the most important thing for you right now, or unemployed, is to focus on stress reduction and to pull back a little bit. Some of you might be doing too much for others, and to have some fun and do something for yourself right now. Nurture yourself, whether this is meditating, education, spa day, I don't care what it is, but it's really about taking care of yourself. All right, let's move into relationships next. Relationships, love. It's not just, romantic relationships. It's love across the board, love with a capital L. So we have the moth spirit. We always focus on butterflies, but moths are just as transformative. And it says surrender now. So some of you may have actually just surrendered to a passion in your life. You realize this is what I want to do. This is what it's meant to be. So the moth goes through a metamorphosis from a caterpillar into the moth, and it takes some time. I already mentioned that the metamorphosis period for you, when you're in the cocoon stage or the pupa stage, is probably going to be this 4-month or 5-month period here until April. So give yourself time. It's about 5 months because we're almost in December. So got a little bit of a waiting period, but it's worth it. And so I see relationships building. I see passion projects growing during this time period. Let's look at this from the perspective of those of you that are in love, looking for love, or very happy with being single and not focused on relationships at all. If you're in love right now, the number one card that we have to focus on is the Devil. The Devil card could indicate a promise that wasn't kept. This doesn't have to mean that there's a third party involved. It could just mean that the person isn't coming through the way that they're supposed to be. There could be controlling or possessive energy from the other person as well, or jealous energy. All of these are sort of connected to the Devil. There's something here that's not elevated. So the most important thing that you have to do is talk through the fear, talk through the limiting factor, and decide, like, what do I want? What's next? We do have death in this card, so there may be a decision to move on or beyond that. Also, there has to be one person can't be calling all the shots in this relationship. That's why we don't have a controller in this particular card. There's no Hierophant. You both are the Hierophants. You're both divine. So we are breaking down the control sort of like dynamics that might have been there. If none of this is a part of your relationship, we're looking at fear, potentially fear over money. Also, there is still some control energy that I can't quite get away from as I'm looking at the cards for you. With the Empress card, this could also be needing to take care of a parent, an elderly parent, or again, dealing with the energy of someone wanting to get their way. So even the Moon card here has to do with honesty. So I would say honesty, autonomy, and then making sure that both partners feel loved, supported, and nurtured is going to be super important. Mothers and being a mother might also be a key component that you need to talk about. It looks like there's some serious work if you're in a relationship. The good news, as we've seen here with these two cards, is that communication can heal. This is a card of communication. There's a big old mouth here and we see a diamond in the center. There is a chance to communicate and get past any of these sort of things that we see, but if and only if the communication piece is there. No matter what kind of relationship you have, patience is going to be an important piece. For those of you looking for love right now, I want you to take a serious audit of your time and energy and think, am I really open to it? Because the Six of Pentacles shows that you have a lot going on. The Devil shows that you may not be able to put as much time and energy into the relationship as you think. There could just be a big old Capricorn coming into your life. And if we connect that, it's going to be, the love card here, the Ace of Cups, and a Capricorn, and there's nothing to really worry about there. I would say for you, however, the one thing that I'm looking at is internal development, still some fears and still some money issues. So I think these need to be dealt with first. So if you have a Capricorn coming into your life, just make sure sleep, money, and stress are being dealt with so that you can put the energy that you want to into that particular relationship. If you're single and happy, good for you. Be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself. Focus on doing more things that bring joy, because we aren't guaranteed any number of days on this planet. So make sure that every day counts. And that's going to be really, really important. Maybe you want to do some writing, journaling, speaking, teaching. All of this could be a part of that as well. I like what I see overall with relationships. There definitely could be new love coming in. There could be a third party coming in for some of you. If we look at the Ace of Cups, the Devil, and the Empress card, this could be, again, an in-law even that means well, but could be creating some friction in your life. So just make sure that you stand up for what you love and care about in that situation. Things can change. People can change for the better, and sometimes not necessarily for the better. So you want to focus on the change that you're seeing in someone and judge it based on that trajectory. Next step, let's look at the not the Catalyst card, but the Destiny card. And as I talked about earlier, Destiny is something that you, at least in my spread here, you get to change, you get to move. The turtle keeps coming through in different readings. We had like one of the sea turtles on the weekend collective, so I'm not super surprised that this came through for you. The turtle's upside down here. So some of you are dealing with this moment in time where you think, if I have to turn around and retrace my tracks, how much time am I losing? Will I still have time to do that? My message to you would be, Do it right. If it takes a little bit of a delay, if it makes you impatient, while you're in that sort of like course correction, you're going to have to work through it. It's always worth doing it right the first time or taking time to correct it before it becomes more complicated. The turtle also comes through as a reminder, like the spider web. You just do one little thread at a time. Little baby steps, you'll eventually get where you want to be. Turtles live for a decent amount of time, so they're not in a hurry. Again, they go where they want to go in the time that they want to go. So for some of you, it's sort of like understanding that there is cosmic timing at work. You may just decide that you're feeling sluggish or you want to speed things up a little bit. That's completely up to you. So a turtle reverse to me would be like a rabbit. It would be speed. I remember in some old cards, you would see sometimes that the turtle and the rabbit and some of the shifting sort of metaphors. So it makes sense. So you just have to decide, am I the turtle or am I the rabbit right now? All right, let's pull one card for the big idea, and then we'll go into blessings and blocks. And yes, you're right. I'm looking at some of the comments. Change happens over time. When it comes to like the moth or metamorphosis, whether it's a butterfly, a moth, a dragonfly, a frog, it doesn't matter. A lot of these go through a kind of a transformation phase. You can't really rush that. That particular period of time, it has to sort of like form up. And if you were to open up the cocoon before that happened, it wouldn't be good. So there are certain things where once you've done everything you need to, there's a little bit of patience that has to happen. Sometimes when you slow down and look at something, you're able to sort of understand the bigger purpose of why it took some time. All right, big idea. What's the overarching message for today, for this month ahead? 6 to 8 weeks. We have the Nine of Pentacles. She's made a couple of appearances. She showed up on the weekend as well. So the Nine of Pentacles is setting you up for sustainable success. Very much independent, very much worth the time and energy, a definite upgrade from the Six of Pentacles. So for you, you want to be looking at long-term sustainability. How and why am I doing this? And how will it get me to that place of having more than enough? If you have more than enough, share it. Have some fun with it too. The one thing that's missing from this card is she usually has this ridiculously lavish bird on her shoulder, a partridge or a peacock or something really big. So I would say for you, make sure that you take time to, make sure you're taking a little trip from here and there, that, if you need to get a new outfit or upgrade something or do something for yourself, that you're enjoying the hard work too. I rarely say that, but in this particular instance, it makes a lot of sense. I'm going to shift into the sister deck with this one. By the way, these are on my website. Not this one, but this one's out of print actually, but the main one, the Luna deck, you can get by clicking a link on my website. Okay, so let's take a look here at this one and see. We're going to look at the blessings and the blocks for the week ahead and see, for the month ahead. I'm still in weekend mode for the month ahead and see what is coming through for the next 6 to 8 weeks. All right, so blessings. Let's focus on what you can really make the most of over the course of December. Okay, so we have a guardian spirit and she's reversed. She reminds me a lot of Justice when I look at her. But for some of you, I wanted to remind you that the blessing is she could ostensibly be at the center of this, kind of like the high priest or the Hierophant. You are the one that it's a changing of the guard. You're the new guard. You're the new guardian. She's also highly connected with what we talked about with the combination lock. So really honor, watch over and guard what you love the most and step into the power mode this month. You have what it takes. So sometimes we have to do it ourselves because other people just don't understand what it is that we're trying to accomplish. So guard what you love with every fiber of your being and step into that Hierophant role and create a new structure if you need to. Okay? You have what it takes. If somebody is not there and is unwilling to sort of like do what's best for you, doesn't matter what their role is, they may not be the right person. Sometimes this means the role of guardian, which could be mom, dad, or grandparent or whatever, they may not have everything that was needed for that. So you're going to step in and do what's best for you, emancipate yourself and do what's best for you at any age. This is particularly for adults. So like as you get older, you realize I have to be my own best advocate here and make sure that I'm taking care of myself. So you have the power, you have the encouragement from the universe, and you you're the one that can best sort of navigate the ship. Okay. Let's take a look at what could potentially be blocking you for the next month. Again, December, the next 6 to 8 weeks past that. We're looking at the Serpent. Interesting card here. So this is in alignment with the Devil that we saw earlier. So for some of you, if something looks or feels to be too good to be true, this is coming through and it's saying, let's question that. Definitely question that. So the other thing with the Serpent is power. So when we looked at the Empress card in reverse here, this to me can just be a reclamation of power. So you don't need to have a gatekeeper. You are the gatekeeper, or you could be the person that's going to do this. You have the power to speak up. You might even have to challenge the gatekeeper. So this is really deciding how much you care about something and how far you're willing to go to make something right. Okay? Ultimately, the two of these are, to me, positive because they're both about power. And it's really just about reclamation and understanding of your power. And I think once you do that, you'll be pleasantly surprised with what's possible. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at a viewer's choice. I always like to throw it out to you for the next piece. So for the viewer's choice, let me just grab my keyboard. And for anybody that's live, you'll get a chance to vote on this right now. So viewer's choice. Some things that I want to look at based on what we're seeing here, for sure, the Devil card. So let's look at power dynamics. And I think that, and it's sort of like reclaiming power is a piece of that as well. I also want to take a look at the fact that we did get the Ace of Cups and love coming through. So let's take a look at what role relationships might play. And for the third option, timing and speed, because we got the turtle. So timing and speed of upcoming events. So there are some options for you to vote on. I'm going to do a reader's choice while you do that. So I want to look at, let's see here. So the ability to just change. When I saw transformation come through, I really want to focus on the ability to step into change. This came through in health, but I really think that it has all aspects of your life right now. By the way, the person that asks for Ace of Cups, it's already there. All right, so let's look at change. What's coming through for change? Okay, so Page of Pentacles. This is really a great card because we're focusing on how much you see and believe in the ability to do this. It's kind of going back to what I talked about with Judgment reversed. If you don't love and value yourself, other people can't either. So I really want you to focus on self-appreciation, self-care, self-love in the highest forms, really doing what you need to do to build up self-confidence. The Page of Pentacles tells me that the number one change that wants to come through is around resources in your life and that sort of internal validation. So some of you need to be in a place where what you're offering, even in a relationship, what you're offering is being rewarded or being recognized a little bit more. So this Page of Pentacles is saying, you're worth it. Do you feel you're worth it? Because that's going to be the most important step into achieving what's there for you. Okay. All right, so let's take a look now at the speed and timing of upcoming events. It looks like that won by about 46%. Great choice. All right, so speed and timing of upcoming events, especially since we were looking at the turtle moving in the opposite direction. Three of Wands, reverse, but still positive. So the Three of Wands is auspicious, whether upright or reversed. The reversal of this tells me that maybe for some of you, it's about not waiting for something to come to you so much as maybe just going out there and holding space for it and taking that step toward the pier. I talk about that with Three of Wands a lot. It could just be a delay of up to 3 months, which sits nicely with what I was talking about with the Moth spirit and even with the Temperance card, where there's a certain amount of time that it takes for something to like gestate and be born. So for many of you, there's a confirmation that it's happening, but if we had to kind of put a marker on it, 2 to 3 months. So very, very close to what I was originally sort of putting out there. So I think 3 to 5 months, you could say, for changes to happen and for events to fully manifest. But I always like to say with the Three of Wands, why would you want to just sit up there and wait? He's a little too comfortable. He's a little too passive. I always prefer someone who kind of steps toward the goal and embraces it as it comes toward them. So there's a little bit of an opportunity to meet it halfway. So while you're waiting for that to happen, get everything set up so that you can hit the ground running once that opportunity comes in. Okay. That way you won't feel like, uh-oh, it actually happened. Yeah, it happened. What did you think you were doing? You're building up this positive sort of event in the future. So really prepare for the success. Okay. But 3 months if we had to get a timeline on it. Okay. Also, the Three of Wands has a hidden travel element to it. It's not always seen as a travel card, but there are ships coming in. So what you're looking for may not be here. You may need to look globally. So if you may need to look in a different province, state, or country for this thing in your life that you're trying to manifest, whether it's a relationship, a job, or an opportunity, or school, or something like that. It's beyond your present borders. And that's what this shows, an auspicious and a sort of like gold star on yes. If you want to go beyond your borders, it's going to speed things up. You may be looking at limited resources and limited options in your current place of employment or wherever you're living or residence. So look beyond the borders. Okay. Some good messages there, and I think that helps. All right. So let's go ahead now and let's move into the meditation. There's 2 pieces with this. I think the fun part for all of you would be the final card. So I noticed some questions that were interspersed here. If I didn't answer anything, you always have a chance at the end to meditate and ask a question, silently, and I will pull a card just like I did on this. It works the same way. So scribble it down right now or tap it into your phone while we're getting ready for the meditation. Before we do that, today I really didn't talk about how to connect. If you would like to connect with me on social media, I pinned a link up above. And I just want to kind of show you how to find me on social media. On most social media platforms, it's at Nicholas Ashbaugh. On Twitter, it's at @Ashbaugh. And all of those links are up above. A reminder that I don't do private readings, so anyone that promises that is not me. It's only for existing clients that I do that. If you like what you see here, please hit the thumbs up, the like button, and subscribe. It helps quite a bit. If you've already subscribed, thank you. Special thanks to all of my existing members, everyone with green text. You help make all of this possible. Sometimes I forget to say thanks. If you'd like to join, there's a button right under the video that says join. You can also get to that button by clicking on the $ here, where you can do a super chat, super sticker, or become a channel member. And there's a lot of different membership options. And then on replay, you can hit thanks, and it's right by share. All right. With these public service announcements out of the way, let's get into the meditation. And I want to focus on the moth energy because of its ability to change and also work through the sort of nocturnal energy of night. So I like that it's kind of coming out of all of that, and it looks beautiful, and it has a really heightened sense of, I think, smell. And so we're really going to help you tune into your inner sort of moth spirit. All right, close your eyes. Oh, actually, one last thing before we do that, and then you can choose which instrument I'm going to use. So which instrument for the meditation? It can either be the crystal pyramid or the singing bowl. Right. So for those of you that want to vote, you can vote. For everyone else, you can relax and enjoy this as I set the scene for the meditation. And then afterwards, I'll answer the final question. Close your eyes, sit up tall for a moment. Imagine that you're pulling a ribbon of energy or light through your body. As you sit up tall, I want you to really kind of stretch a little bit. You can even pull your hands out a little if you'd like to, or up in the air. Nice deep inhale, sigh it all out. Letting go of everything you've been holding on to, anything from the holidays, from the weekend, any stress or uncertainty, just let it go. Sink back into your chair, your bed, the floor, wherever you might be at this moment, unless you're driving, and just relax. I want you to imagine that you are being supported by let's imagine that you're outside in the forest, stars above you, big starry night, and you are just being held up by the soft ground beneath you or the moss beneath you. Let go for a moment. Allow each and every muscle to release Let your eyes roll back into the sockets and even relax a little bit the muscles around the eyes. Let your throat muscles relax. Let your jaw disengage. Feel that your scalp itself is starting to relax as well. Every single muscle is letting go. You feel as if you are as light as a feather. Anything that was heavy falls into the earth, and anything that is light is left over. As you're staring up at the sky above you, you see a single beautiful moth flying above. There's a little bit of iridescence in its wings, and it lands directly on your nose. And it kind of flutters its wings a little bit, and you can see its eyes look into your eyes for a second. In this moment, it invites you to take a journey with it, a journey through the night, a journey through your soul, to see something that you need to see, perhaps a message from guides, perhaps a vision of what you could possibly create in your life, possibly just a little joyride with this moth as you're drifting through the night sky. I'm not going to paint that journey too much. I'm just going to allow you to connect with it, and then I'm going to let you go where you need to as I play the crystal pyramid here in just a moment. So allowing yourself to connect with the moth, plant your body on the planet, allow it to connect there and be anchored there. And then through the third eye, the energetic self connects with the moth, and you become one with that lovely nature totem. As you relax, as you release, you watch the moth fly and flutter above you amongst the stars, and you are downloading all the information that you're seeing from this messenger. So just relax and breathe and enjoy the sound bath. And then afterwards, I will look at your final question. Watch now as the moth starts to gently and slowly come back to the clearing in the forest, where you can see your body resting, connecting to that spirit. And once again, it lands on your nose, connecting to your third eye, connecting to your higher sense of being. Allow yourself now to breathe in and absorb any of those messages that you received. not questioning where it came from, not worrying about if it's possible, understanding that you connected to a higher purpose, a higher self, and trusting that you can create that which you see, that which you seek in your life. Gently open your eyes. Bring yourself back into your body by rubbing your hands together, putting your left hand on your heart, right hand on top of that. One last breath and open your eyes gently on the exhale if you haven't already. Let's look at your final question for today. Just meditate on it, read it aloud, or think about it. And let's see what wants to come through. So we have the Seven of Wands in reverse. The Seven of Wands in reverse is reminding you that you don't need to fight so hard for certain things. There's always an opportunity to work a little bit smarter with this card. In the reverse state, this would be saying that if you're constantly pushing to make something happen or someone see you, then there is a sort of a cosmic message there that it may be more work than is necessary here. This is also a card of defense, which we talked about. You should be willing to stand up for yourself, stand up for what's important to you. And in that case, absolutely, it's important to hold your ground. Try not to automatically go into defense mode if somebody asks you a question, if there's an opportunity presented to you or there's criticism that comes your way. Think about it from a constructive point of view, even if it was only delivered with a critical point of view. And otherwise, let it go. There's always going to be a naysayer. There's always going to be a boo out there somewhere in the audience. And you can't make everybody happy all the time. It will just make you a little bit crazy. As a yes, no, I think that you want to not force it so much. It is a maybe. This is not a definitive yes, no. What I would say for you is don't push it. So this is especially true for those of you that are trying to make someone see you or someone accept you. So like I was talking about those contractual agreements. You want to stand strong, you want to be aggressive, but this is a competition card. So put your best foot forward, do a follow-up or two. But what I found in the past is when I often overreach or push for something that shouldn't happen, then I usually understood why I was receiving pushback from the universe. Competition's good. If you are doing the best and you follow through accordingly and you connect and do the best with your communication, you'll get it if you're supposed to. If you don't, there's another opportunity that's aligned to you and it's going to be better for you. So don't push too hard, but do push enough. It's finding that happy medium between not being over the top. The best example I can use for most of you would be like a first date where you want to see engagement, but not someone that's picking out China. And talking about the future on the very first date. So you just want to see that they want to see you again. You want to get a strong connection. You want to have that mutual spark. But if you go overboard and you walk out of the restaurant, and there's 15 texts waiting for you, you know that this is too much. So you want to find the happy point of not overdoing it, but doing just enough. And if something falls through, not worrying about it. So basically, I would say stand your ground, compete by all means, put your best foot forward, and then start to look at other opportunities around you. You have a very good shot with the Seven of Wands, but it is not an absolute yes, and it's not an absolute check. So keep looking and see what else comes through that law of detachment. When you no longer want or need something so much, then they're actually a little bit more interested in you and things could fall right in place just as you'd wished, okay? So a little bit of nuance on that one. Not every card in tarot is a yes, no. Not everything in life is a yes or no. This one is about walking the fine line, about not pushing too hard. And I think that's the main message on that one, okay? That is everything in a nutshell, and that sets you up for a successful month ahead. I will be starting up all of the new readings this week. I'm going to post my schedule later today, but I'll be back on Thursday and Friday of this week, as well as next Sunday, to start off the next round of readings. I'm probably going to do something special around New Year's this year, looking at 2022, maybe working with intentions. I may do something special in all the readings. I got to decide, but it's a good month to be watching. We'll be focusing on looking at January with all my December ones. So with this reading being done, all of the December readings are up. And of course, my weekend forecast, if you need something for this week, is up as well. It's on the main page pinned to the top. So please take a look if you'd like to. All right, one last time, if you haven't hit like or subscribe, please do that right now. If you've already subscribed, if you're a channel member, thank you for your support. I know a lot of you followed me for several years, so thank you so much. I'm going to say thanks to those of you that were either new members in the last 24 hours or so, or anybody that gave today. So give me a moment just to take a look at who is new and who I can kind of like just say thanks to. So give me one moment here. And just a quick note while I'm doing that, my schedule links for all of last month's, or basically December's reading, they're all up right now. So you can look at right there. And let me now take a look here at who to say thanks to. So thank you for giving me just a moment to get started here. All right, so to the new members here, I want to say welcome or welcome back. Let's see, we have someone that I saw at the beginning of today, Ada, rejoined after 2 months. Welcome back. Liz Morrison, I think, and Yvette Sanchez, both, there was a join and a rejoin, so welcome back. Michelle Wilson, a star channel member. Thank you so much for becoming a star channel member. Regina, I saw you became a cosmic one yesterday. Thank you. And I saw that you gave back today. That's an amazing contribution each month, and I just wanted to acknowledge it, so thank you. All right, so let's say thanks to anybody that gave some supers today. I'm going to keep trying to look at some new decks. I might put a poll up for everybody to suggest some new ones, because I always appreciate it when you give me some advice. So only 2 people to thank today. I just want to say thanks again to Regina. You've been amazing over the past couple of readings with contributions. And again, by being an extra special cosmic supporter, I appreciate that. And JC, thank you so much for giving back today. Everybody else, just thanks for tuning in. And I know we have a lot of members already here. So I just want to acknowledge everybody that is a member, everyone with green text. Much love and light. I do see you. I do appreciate you. And you make this all possible. And I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope you enjoyed everything I did this month. Thank you for 7 years. And here's to another 7 years. And who knows where YouTube will be then or where we'll be then at that point. But I appreciate the journey and look forward to trying some new things. All right, everyone. Thanks to Maria Margarita for her help with moderating today. I wish you much love and light. I'm going to wake up this little guy here in a moment and take him for a walk. So from Apollo and I, have a great month ahead, a great holiday season as well. I'll see all of you again, like I said, on Thursday and Friday of this week. Take care. Much love and light. Bye-bye.